Okay, so it's been a while since you've seen me posting any type of videos. Um, I did a movie review for a movie called Taking Lives, starring Angelina Jolie and Kevin Bacon. I did that about a year ago, but I actually never released it. I did the editing and everything and just didn't do anything with it. So I'm going to also be posting that movie review on my new channel. And so you can check that review out. I'm going to look different. I'm going to be in a different location in that video. But this is the current me. And this is the current location. So I've got some notes here. Today we're going to be talking about a movie called Skylines. Uh, Skylines is the final installment in an alien invasion trilogy. The first movie came out in theaters. None of the other two movies came out in theaters, at least not in America, at least not at a reputable theater that I know of. So um, we're going to be doing this in reverse order because the last movie I watched was Skylines, and Skylines, and I haven't seen the other two in quite some time. Actually, I watched Beyond Skyline, which is the second movie. I watched that about a year ago as well, and well, we'll get into why I'm just now watching Skylines in the actual review. All right, so let's look at some of my notes and see what I got here. So this movie suffers a lot from its theatrical trailer because if you watch Beyond Skyline, there's going to be spoilers in this, so I'm just going to go ahead. In order to assess this film properly and talk about where it falls short and where it succeeds, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that have happened in the previous films. So the previous film is Beyond Skyline, and in that movie, it's pretty much the events are happening at the same time as the first movie in Skyline. I know it's Skyline, Beyond Skyline, and Skylines. So Beyond Skyline happens at the same time as the events of the first movie. It's just in a different location, really, and it's all about humans surviving the alien invasion. They do some fighting back, but that's just a part of the surviving. That's not a part of the main like goal in those movies. It's not the main plot. The main plot is to just run, hide, and survive. Run, hide, fight, whatever, survive. And Skylines, they're taking the fight to the aliens. So it's a little bit different. And in the trailer, you see that, and it's just really abrupt. And it's like, okay, so in Beyond Skyline, we were running from the aliens. In Skyline, we were running from the aliens. And now we're on an alien warship and dropping bombs on the aliens. So it's like, what happened here? It's a very different tone than the first two films. And so I think it suffered in part from that by people seeing the trailer and maybe being put off because I'm going to be honest, the reason why it took me so long to watch this movie is because I had just finished watching Beyond Skyline and then I saw the trailer for this and I'm like, who the hell is this and what the hell are they doing? Like this is not even the same thing. Okay? So also in the trailer it shows some pretty low budget CGI and special effects. And so that's another thing that's going to turn people off because it really just felt like the first movie was AAA budget, and then it just kind of went like down in the second movie Beyond Skylines, and it just kind of feels like it's going down again. It's like, man, we're really getting the sci-fi channel level like effects here. So that's also a letdown. This story focuses on the humans taking the fight to the aliens. And let me see what else do I have in my notes here. So the main character we're going to be following is a character called Rose. Rose is an alien human hybrid. So she's also able to use alien technology because of her alien DNA. And so she's pretty much been being used as a weapon by Earth military. That's another thing I'm going to get into is like the kind of vague military unit of the planet that she's with. We don't really know who they are, but basically, um, like I said, she's being used as a special weapon because she can access alien technology and she's human, so obviously she wants to protect humans. So that's going to be a thorn in the side of the aliens during their invasion. So Rose was actually introduced to us in Beyond Skyline. So there is some continuity here and it's only between Beyond Skyline and Skylines. Like the first movie, I'm gonna be real with you. In my opinion, the first movie should have been a standalone. And well, let me put it like this: Skylines should have been the first movie. This movie we're reviewing today should have been the first movie. Beyond Skyline should have been a prequel, and that should have been it. That should have been their own two. And then Skyline should have been its own thing that has nothing to do with it, because that movie has absolutely nothing to do with any of the other movies. I mean, it does. The ending of that movie ties into the other movies, but that's literally the only part. Is pretty much useless. You could have just put that in a cutscene in either of the other films. As far as the casting goes, we do have a couple of familiar faces as far as I know. As far as like famous actors, you've got Rona Mitra and Alexander Siddiq. I didn't really know this guy's name until I looked it up, but I recognize his face. Rona Mitra's been in things such as Underworld and Doomsday, and ironically, this Alexander guy's also been in Doomsday, and he's also been in 24. And when I looked up who he was in 24, I was actually surprised because that character was a pretty cool character. All right, so this film sort of starts off like an episode, the next episode of a television series. Like it'll start off like you just finished watching an episode last week, and we're picking up right where we left off. Except in this film, you missed an entire season between that episode and this episode. So in Beyond Skyline, it kind of just ends with them surviving basically an alien attack, and then Rose like showing like some of her alien DNA stuff. That's it. In these movies, Rose alien DNA makes her grow extremely fast. So in Beyond Skyline, we leave off with Rose being a child, and in this movie, Rose is a full-grown woman. And so, like I said, she's being used as a tactical weapon against the aliens. Well, basically, this movie picks up right there, and then they give you a little flashback that says, "Oh yeah, by the way, Rose commanded an alien ship and had her own crew, basically. And there was a moment where she was supposed to destroy an alien ship, and she froze up, and then she still destroyed it. But since she froze, another cruise ship on their side got into the path of where she needed to shoot. But if she didn't shoot right now, the alien ship would get away. So she had to shoot through the ship, killing everyone on board to kill the alien ship. Crazy. So that's what you missed in the previous season. That's what you missed between Beyond Skyline and now. And so that's a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't get to see except for a flashback. But now we're here. So whatever. We pick up in some kind of rebel encampment, some kind of shanty town, outpost looking town, real dusty. This is where we get introduced to Rona Mitra's character, who's a scientist slash doctor nurse slash soldier. I don't really know what to call it. I mean, but I guess it makes sense that if you're in the apocalypse, no matter what your profession is, you will be using firearms. So, like I said, we're in the rebel encampment, and the Earth Defense Force, that's what we're going to call them, because they never really explain who they are, how they came together as one. It's all very vague. No one seems to really care. They're just dudes in military gear, and they're in charge. So these guys start coming around. They're looking for Rose. They're looking for Rose, and eventually they find Rose, and they tell her, "We've got some very important mission that we need you to complete. Only you can do it." And so after a little bit of Rose having a bad attitude and saying she doesn't want to do it because she's still scarred from where she screwed up and killed everybody on board a vessel, she decides, yeah, I'll do it because they really, really, really need her. The next 30 or so minutes, you'll spend getting to know the crew and a little bit more about Rose. Um, the crew is very small, and this film benefits from having, I would assume, a low budget because it's the third film in a low budget sci-fi film franchise. So I'm assuming the budget is only getting smaller, but it kind of benefits from this because when you don't have as many funds to hire as many big name actors and actresses, you could actually use that to your advantage and be very selective on who you have. And I think they did a really good job doing this, and this allowed you to get to know little things about the crew, some more in depth than others, but you got to know a little bit of things about the crew very quickly. You didn't have to spend a whole like montage of just nonsense learning things about people. There weren't really useless characters. Everyone you see in this crew you will see again. There's not one person that you'll see once and you don't see them again. Maybe at the beginning there's a random guard standing in the hallway that you might not see again. But like as far as actual crew, you'll see them all again and get to know a little detail, a little couple details at least about all of them and their relationships. So I thought that was cool. I thought they did a really good job of utilizing the funds and just spending enough time with each character so that you get to know a little bit about them. So after you get to know these characters, this is where pretty much the action the action starts. I'm not really going to go too much into what happens after this because I don't want to completely ruin the movie. So I'm just going to say that once the action starts, I was pleasantly surprised by the level of special effects. The first special effects that you see in this movie, it just feels really B tier and low budget. Like the costume design is like, it's low budget, but I don't know what it is about this movie, but like the longer it goes on, the special effects got better, and it was just like this actually doesn't look bad. Well, this actually looks good. Like this actually could have come out in a movie theater. This is actually good, and the action scenes were actually cool. They were actually fun. I mean, one of the movies that I actually liked that came out in the recent years was the New Mutants, and I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for that because it's like it's cool and it's hip to hate on anything that was not produced by Disney or Marvel that's a superhero film, but New Mutants wasn't that bad. It was actually unique and it was pretty cool. I feel like if I was way younger, I would have liked it a lot more because it's kind of a teen story. But other than that, I mean, I like that movie. And special effects in that movie were great. And special effects in this movie weren't on that level, but I mean, kind of like not that far off. I mean, I'm thinking specifically between like one of the special effects between the main characters and the New Mutants and the main character in this movie, kind of really similar. So it's definitely lower grade in this movie. Like I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying it's the same. Like it's definitely cheaper and like they save some money in this movie, but like it's not that far off. I mean, like if you just watch it to enjoy it, like that didn't look that much worse than that movie. So okay, it's not that bad. So I think they utilize their resources very well in this movie. Like the people who made this movie and produced it should be very proud of what they did with the funding that they had because it was clearly low budget. Some things were clearly tacky looking, but they did very well with the casting and the special effects. Um, when this movie initially came out, there was a lot of comments about it being feminist propaganda. I'm gonna say this. Uh, if you find yourself running in circles that are always complaining about feminist propaganda, you will find it here. Like there definitely is some in this movie. But if you just go into this movie about to watch Skylines, like you will not care. Like it's not horrible, man. Like the main character, she gets more likable as the movie comes on. Like it as the movie goes on. Like when she starts off and she's just like kind of like arrogant and an asshole. It's just like okay, well, whatever. But just like I don't know how else to explain it, but like if you watch this movie and actually give it a chance, you just cannot help but enjoy it and enjoy the characters. You just can't, bro. It is a good movie. It is a good time, and it's got good action scenes, and you could tell that the crew had fun making this movie. So let me get on to some of my final points. So I don't want to drag this out forever. I don't want to set the standard for my reviews to be freaking 40 minutes. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's see what I got in my notes here. Um, yeah, um, that's pretty much it for the main part. As far as my notes go, I'm just gonna say, like I said in the beginning, this was something that I was gonna say at the end, but I'll just reiterate it now. I already spoke on it earlier. I feel like this movie should have been the first one in the franchise. I feel like it should have come out in theaters, and they should have put more of the budget towards this movie. It is the best movie in the franchise, in my opinion, and I love Skyline. I love that movie, man. That's the reason why I own it, all three of them. I love Skyline. I remember the competition between Skyline and Battle Los Angeles when it came out, and I was like, man, I liked Skyline more. I own both of those movies, but I still prefer Skyline. Just like the aesthetic and everything of it. But I really do feel like Skylines is the best film in the franchise. It's just such a fun and enjoyable film. And I really think that it should have come out first, and then Beyond Skyline should have come out second as a prequel, and then Skyline should have just been something totally separate on its own, like its own entity. I mean, that's really how I feel about it. Um, if I have to give a number on this movie, I would say it's a, as far as straight up, you know what? I'm not even gonna justify it. That's how I'm gonna do my reviews here, man. Um, I don't know about that review I did earlier that I'm gonna post, but from now on, this is how I'm gonna do my reviews, man. I'm really tired of like people getting really snobby and uppity, and pretentious about movie reviews, man. Movies are supposed to entertain you. You are not supposed to learn a new language watching a movie. You are not supposed to figure out the meaning of life in a movie. You are supposed to be entertained. As far as entertainment goes, I will give this movie an 8 out of 10. And that's me kind of holding back. This movie was very fun. The pacing, it does feel a little bit long, but that's why I said I feel like it should have been the first in the franchise. Because if it was the first in the franchise, this would have been typical for a trilogy launcher. It would have been typical. Like, because in the beginning of a trilogy, you usually get to know characters, spend a lot of time with the crew, blah blah blah. You have to know the backstory for everybody. It would have been like expected. In the first two Skylines, you kind of just are just waiting for the aliens to bust through the door and things to go crazy. That's how they work. It's like, okay, we're going to just living our lives, and then holy crap, aliens are here. And it's just like, it gets to it really fast. In this movie, aliens are already here. So we're not about to just be bombarded with aliens out of nowhere. So we got a lot of time for interpersonal relationships between characters and stuff like that. And so to a lot of people who watch the other movies in the franchise, they might find this movie very long and drawn out because it's like trying to reinvent the wheel of how this story is being told. And it's like, why are they doing this when all the other Skylines, we just boom, aliens. And so I really think that this film suffers from that effect. It's really a better movie than both of the other ones, but it just happened to come out at the end, and they tried something completely different, which normally is a horrible idea. But it actually works for the film, but it hurts it at the same time because a lot of people are going to be bored and not understand why you're not getting straight to the aliens sucking people's brains out. So, anyway, that's my kind of review, dissection, whatever you want to call it. Just talk on Skylines. It's a great movie. I would recommend it. I've got it right now on standard DVD because I was not impressed by the trailer at all. I'm actually going to pick it up on Blu-ray. So, yeah, I believe you should check out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.